Welcome to the Student Athlete Performance Podcast. I'm your host, Nick Lemke. Today, we're talking with Marc Wiese, head baseball coach at Puyallup High School and co-owner of New Level 360. With over 500 career wins, multiple state championships, and a long list of talented athletes that he's worked with, including a current MLB player, Levi Jordan, Marc has been a key figure in putting Puyallup baseball on the map. And so, Marc, thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, it's my pleasure.
Of course.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. So you've built Puyallup High School into really a powerhouse for baseball talent. I know, like I've seen the interviews. They talked about Puyallup High School has been on the map for football, but you really brought it on the map for baseball. So what factors do you feel like led to that success?
I think really at the end of the day, it's working hard, having passion, having, expectations. And, I've been pretty blessed to have some really good athletes come through the system here, in the Puyallup area, but it just isn't about Puyallup. It's about our entire baseball community in the Northwest.
Yeah. Yeah. When you've worked with a lot of those higher level athletes, whether they be in Puyallup or just around, especially with New Level and everything, and you've seen some of them get drafted as well. So what do you think has contributed to making this area, or the Pacific Northwest, such a great area for baseball talent?
Yeah, I'm going into my 30th year coaching at Puyallup, and obviously with New Level 2 here the last, I think, 8 years. But just seeing the entire growth in the area, and just the immense amount of talent that is actually coming out of the Northwest, not only in baseball, but just in athletics in general. But, I think there's, one thing that, especially for baseball players, it, I think there's a little bit of toughness to our guys up here having to play in this environment in the spring, in the winter, in the fall, in the drizzle, 38 degrees. We play up at Heritage and, it's drizzling and, it's cold and your feet are freezing. And, a few years back, we went down and played Orange Lutheran, one of the top programs in the country, in Corona, Santiago, and went down there for a Friday and Saturday, played a 4-game series. And, we got beat up a little bit, and Eric Borba, the head coach, down at Orange Lutheran goes, hey, let's see what our guys can do if we had to come up into the Northwest in March and play at 38, 42 degree weather. But I think there's that sense, and then obviously. The indoor facilities that have popped up and that have been around, and it just giving the kids opportunities to train year round, with baseball. But I think other things, obviously for me, I try to get our players and parents to really believe in, hey, everybody wants to spend money on skill sets. Go spend money on your athleticism and your body.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a key factor.
Okay. So when you talk about athleticism, are you also referring to like multiple sports, or what are some areas would you say there?
Yeah, absolutely. We've always supported kids playing multiple sports, and I want to see that happen. Now, we're seeing, unfortunately, less guys do that. But those guys are obviously they're training year round to become the best athletes that they can be and all that. But I love seeing kids go play football and basketball and do those other things.
Yeah.
We've had a lot of guys do water polo to swimming and different things, especially our pitchers.
So when you have you've had some big names even just directly through Puyallup High School. So you've had Levi Jordan become a major leaguer. I know, all eyes are on Mason Pike right now. So what separates those athletes who make it to the next level from those who don't?
There's a special work ethic, and also Adam Cimber, who's been an 8-year major league veteran, a reliever for the California Angels right now, and had the opportunity to go see him play in his major league debut. That was one of my thrills. And then obviously Levi, he gave me a call. I was on my way to Puerto Vallarta with my boy, and bunch of people, it was 4 a.m. and man, that would have been awesome. But with that said, those guys, it just again, it's hard work and the desire to get better every day, and not, you know, in athletics and in life in general, there's always going to be naysayers. Everybody's going to look at what you can't do
Mm.
or what you're not good at. And those guys just continue to grind. They have a chip on their shoulder to be the best that they can be. And they just continue to go. I think that is the number one factor in all of it.
Okay. So I'm curious, do you feel like there's a lot of players that could make it to the next level, even if it is the minor leagues, that could make it to that level, but they don't because of the work ethic or because they don't believe in themselves even?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of guys that really work hard and they don't make it all the way as well.
Mhm.
And I had an opportunity. I signed with the New York Mets in 1987, got drafted, had a short career in the minor leagues, and thought I was going to be a big leaguer. And as soon as you start doubting things, it gets tough. And we didn't have back then some of the opportunities that are going on these days. And it's one reason why I got into coaching. And so, I don't want guys to make the same mistakes that I made. But the biggest thing, it's a mindset, because especially in the game of baseball, you have to have tough skin, you have to have a short memory. The game is going to punch you in the nose repeatedly, and can you get up from it?
Mm.
And so it's getting through that. And and even looking at guys like Levi Jordan and Adam Cimber, they were so close of hanging it up, and they they hung on and then got the opportunity to be a big leaguer.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I like that you talked about, having to have that tough skin in baseball. Like Ed Milet's a guy I listen to a lot, and he was a college baseball player and now like a motivational speaker kind of guy. And he talks about, baseball is a failure sport. You fail, 3 to 4 times for every win essentially. So it's a very small percentage that you're actually like, if you're a hitter, for example, so you have to have that tough skin to just keep bouncing back after each miss.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I tell people baseball is a cruel game. It's not always fair, and the best team doesn't always win. And you can have a good day at the plate, and it still might be 0 for 4, and you hit 4 laser beams right at guys. Or, you could be, 0 for 4 and feel like you're on the ball, and guys are making good pitches to you and different things. There's so many different variables, that can happen. And it's the great ones, their slumps are a lot shorter than us normal people. I had a guy, Jason Sakani, who I coached with USA Baseball, and he pitched a little bit with Roger Clemens. And Roger Clemens told him that if you have 10 starts, out of your 10 starts, 3 of them, nobody's going to beat you. 3 of them, you're you're not going to have your A stuff or even maybe your B stuff. Can you compete and win with that? And then the other 4 games in between there is what truly defines you as a player. And I just thought that was something that just really resonated with me, on just how one of the greatest ever, kind of his thought process on it was. Or his stuff, he didn't feel his stuff was always great
Yeah,
you know
yeah. No, that's really good perspective. It's one of those things where, and you even look at like the pitchers like Jamie Moyer being, Mariners fan. I always think of Jamie Moyer because he was just steady. Like when you talk about somebody who's steady, like he was just steady through like what 50 something year, he was like 50 something when he finally retired, but he was just
yeah.
consistent. Like you didn't see, a lot of fluctuations. Like he wasn't an all-star all the time or anything. He was just steady and he just stuck around.
Yeah, he could really pitch. Didn't have great stuff,
Mhm.
or say a great fastball, but he had a great changeup, and he was a tremendous competitor. And honestly, guys like that, those are guys that you want our athletes to kind of emulate themselves. with, and just keep on going and keep on attacking. And but yeah, it's a tough game, that's for sure.
Yeah, for sure. When we talk about like the development and the playing, you have a very unique perspective where, you're a high school head coach. You have a facility where you do a lot of training development. You've got, Travis Calloway in there doing like the strength and the speed and stuff. You've got, the hitting, all the different things in there. But then you also have like the travel teams with New Level. And so you really have like that full kind of approach to it. So there's a lot of talk between development and playing and like where to find that balance between traveling and competing versus development. Like, how do you find that balance between playing and development?
Yeah, so I have, I'm pretty blessed to be able to touch, kids from, gosh, we might even have a 6-year-old and a couple 7-year-olds playing 8U baseball, but anywhere from 8 to 18U. The big thing is honestly, the key is developing, and everybody in this game, all our players, they all develop in different stages. So, we have kids that really bloom early at 12, 13, 14 years old. And then we have some of those kids at 12, 13, 14 years old that are maybe they're not there physically. They're not performing as well as some of these guys. And it's those kids that we really need to tap into and be patient with it, and talking to their parents and communicating. And I've kind of seen it through the last 30 years. It's not about how great you are then, it's about how great you can be when you're 22, 23 years old. So, the other key in all this, you got to love the game. You got to love the work. That's the part that you have to have so you can withstand all of the hardships and the setbacks and all that, and the commitments that you have to make it kind of through all of it. And not everybody's going to be a big league or a minor league or a Division 1 player. Most guys are going to be JUCO, NWAC guys, D3 players. But as Frosty Westering said, the big time is where you're at. And the biggest thing, yes, we want to go win baseball games. We want to develop baseball players. But at the end of the day, this is really about developing, men. And because I look at athletics, especially baseball, a lot like life. You're going to go through your ups and downs. And it's what we do in our adult life. And things are going really good. And then all of a sudden, you're HVAC goes down and you have a $12,000 bill. It's how are you going to respond to those things? And it, it's kind of one of those messages that we try to, whether it's the Puyallup High School guys or kids at New Level and the parents that we talk to. This is a grind. It's a process in getting them to just understand, if I work hard and I believe and I love what I'm doing, great things are going to happen.
Yeah. So I mean, the love of the game is a big piece you highlight there. How do you prevent somebody from burning out on baseball? Because I mean, I've seen it. Like I've
Yeah.
talked to guys too. I've talked to parents where they're like, yeah, they just stopped playing. They didn't want to play anymore. Like they just lost that love for it.
Yeah, that's the big fine line, and we have teams and coaches and parents at probably 10, 11 years old, 12 years old that I believe actually probably play too much baseball.
Mm.
Okay, probably train too much baseball and all of that, but they want it, and and then we have some teams that, hey, we're good playing 40 to 50 games. Our guys are going to go and play football and basketball and do those things. And that's more or less what I want to see, but not everybody wants to do that. It's a juggling act, honestly, for us at New Level, and really trying to find out what's best. But we're trying to allow some of the coaches and parent groups, really, what do you guys want? Because there's different things out there. And does it work for some? Yes. Does it not work for some? Absolutely not. I
Mm.
mean, so it's getting kids, I think, in families. When I say kids, it's a family, everybody. included to get them in the right spots,
Mm. Yeah, no,
in
that's
right teams and in programs and different things. But it is a fine line. We're still trying to figure out that piece, honestly.
yeah. No, I hear you. I mean, it's a question I've been trying to wrestle with, some of the guests. Like I had a guy on earlier today, and he's down in Arizona, has a facility, and one of the things they do is like it's basically like backyard baseball. They just play for fun. They have like a group. They do it every week or every other week, and it's just like, no specific teams or anything. They're just playing. Um,
Yeah.
but then I also think it'd be kind of cool. Like, I mean, I even think with because I've been in the facility, like doing like a flag football or touch football or like little things to just kind of mix things up a little bit and kind of make it, just fun.
Yeah. Doing something different, and every once we'll go play kickball or do
Yeah,
things like that. It's like Puyallup workouts. We used to go, you know what, today, hey, we're just going to play two-hand touch, you know football, and gosh, we'd have guys running fly routes all the time. They were getting better sprint work, I think, doing that than when we're actually doing the sprints.
exactly. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but you
No,
got to make it fun, and again, it's everybody kind of wants to keep up with the Jones a little bit. And I think it's something that we're stuck with up here a little bit in the Northwest. And everybody goes, well, oh, these guys down in Southern California or Arizona or in Texas and Florida, and they're playing 80 to 90 baseball games, and they have the ability to get outside all the time. And then there is a fine line and still trying to navigate what is it?
yeah.
And maybe it is an individual, each individual is a little different.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
I'd love, I'd love to see some podcasts and some things on that, and continue to learn. And, with Colin Henderson, who's worked with us here at, New Level in Puyallup High School with Master Your Mindset. And we've had real frequency with some curriculum stuff for our athletes at New Level. And just really trying to get into the mind a little bit more, and what we all are feeling, our athletes, our parents, and all of that. So I think there's a lot of work to be done there.
Yeah.
Nah,
I like that you bring up the mindset piece because that is something, I have a couple, sports psychologist connections as well. And, one that I need to bring back on the podcast. And I feel like, yeah, that's a whole nother area that we can tap into and have conversations about of, just this wrestling with just the burnout and, where to find that balance.
yeah, yeah. And that's kind of the interesting thing with Colin Henderson and Master the mindset in 2017. He did a lot of work with the Puyallup team. We won a state championship that year, and also New Level was our song. It was ASAP Ferg or whoever. It must have just came out, and that was our song that we listened to before each game and different things. And that's where we got New Level Baseball,
Mm.
the name as well. So pretty cool little connection there. And
Yeah,
then just
that's,
with the whole mindset piece, and so
no, that's
just a
cool.
little history there.
Yeah, yeah. Uh, so this is a question, talking about back to that high playing at the highest level piece. Like I know a lot of athletes I work with and, just people in general, like the ones who are listening, they want to figure out what they need to do, what they need to kind of focus on more to help them play at that highest level, whether that be pro sports or whether that be just college in general, D1, etc. So what would you say is the most important thing for athletes to know or to focus on to get them to the highest level of their potential?
Again, it's having that grind attitude, the hard, the work ethic piece. It's your body's a temple, and turning your body and becoming the best athlete, putting the best food in your body, your mind, training your mind to be able to offset those difficult times when you do get punched in the nose in athletics and in life. And but I think you'll see, and whether I'm talking to you know Pat Casey, the old coach at OSU, or Mitch Canham now, and I remember Pat Casey telling me once that, gosh, our best, gosh, who Conforto, we would, after a football game, we'd look and in the hitting barn, the lights are on, and after a night football game, and who's in there hitting? Michael Conforto,
Mm,
and guys like that, the best guys, and doing that extra work and just getting that grind in, and so I think that's just the key.
yeah,
But it's what's the balance of the whole burning yourself out in all of that. You got to be a special player, and that's not just to play professionally. It's probably really playing at any level in college,
mhm,
whether it's in JUCO baseball or D1.
yeah,
It's tough.
yeah,
Guys need to wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning and go to their workouts and all, and it's not easy.
yeah. Yeah, I had one of the Chicago Cubs scouts, Nate Metzger, on recently, and he talks about athletes. They have to be wired a little bit differently, and especially with that work ethic, with everything, the mindset, all of that, you have to be a little bit different.
Yeah, I think there's a combo. Obviously, we want everybody to be a great teammate, but those guys that are a little different, there is a little bit of sense of selfishness within that I think really drives them. Good selfishness.
Yeah, yeah. Uh, Looking back on your career, both as an athlete, but also all the athletes you've coached, what would you say are some of the biggest lessons you've learned?
I honestly, I would look at back at my playing career. I wish I could have, back then we were lifting a lot differently. And we weren't lifting safely. And I think a lot of injuries happened due to that. I think the whole mindset deal, the nutrition, all of those things that have come into play has really become a huge factor for athletes. I think that's huge. Um, but again, I honestly I think the biggest part of it all is just truly learning how to have a positive mindset through everything, through the negative times that you have, and how do you and to have the tools to be able to get through those tough times. But that to me, that's the biggest key.
Mm. Yeah, no, that's good. What would you say, like, what would be your recommendation for athletes, like, kind of the first step? If they're wanting to their shift their direction, or they want to, really excel, what do you feel like the first step would be?
At what age are we looking
Oh,
at?
okay. Well, good point. Let's go freshman in high school.
Freshman in high school. I think it comes down to what are your goals. If I have a freshman that comes into Puyallup High School, I hope his goal is to be a varsity starter. And to be that guy, I think it's a deal where, hey, we have an off-season workout program, and to have that commitment for that, it is a grind. And the kids that are going and playing different sports, obviously, they have to find a way to juggle those things and still find a way. Obviously, if you're playing football, you're getting plenty of workout in. But if you're a baseball priority guy and you have those goals, I think you got to find a way to juggle and sacrifice some of that extra time to be the best you can be.
No, it's yeah. What about when we talk about especially now, so, we have so many changes at the college level at this point that, it's going to be very difficult to get those D1 offers, or get, those typical offers that that athletes were
Yeah,
expecting. When we talk about the juniors and seniors, especially the seniors who are heading that JUCO route because they want to, have a better opportunity at the next level, what would be your advice to them?
I think right now with the portal and everything, I think the biggest thing players need to do, you need to build a resume. So you need to go play, go somewhere where you can go compete, whether it's a JUCO level, D2, D3, NEIA. We're looking at so many guys playing D3 that, their senior year, they're going into the portal and paying dividends and becoming all Americans,
Yeah.
at the Division 1 level. The problem is, the Division 1 coaches need to win now. And for them to recruit a high school baseball player, he's going to have to help them right away. And because of the 34, you know, roster limitations and all that, who do you recruit is the question. And they're trying to navigate through this, as much as we are, as select coaches and high school coaches and different things. So to me, again, I just think you need to go and go play. My oldest son Jordan, he played at Washington State for 3 years. 3 years into it, he's got 48 at bats. And was it the right place for him? Yeah, probably got a great education and all, but sometimes he thinks about, gosh, should I have gone to Bellevue CC and played, and where could I be? My son Jackson, he's at Pierce CC right now. He's freshman and going that route. So everybody has a different route in this game, especially now.
Yeah.
And we're going to see some different avenues.
For sure, for sure. I like that. Coming from a high school coach, I knew, especially with your experience, I was like, okay, we gotta get some of those additional questions more specific for this day and age for sure.
Yeah.
Any?
Well,
Oh, go ahead.
and just to get back to that, and right now, and it's a big thing. And when I talk to most of these Division I coaches, it's now is the time for me to relay the message to our players and parents how this landscape has really changed, because we do have a lot of frustrations right now in some of our athletes, and it's just you got to be patient. And part a little bit of my worry are some of these kids going, gosh, I've done all this work. I thought I was a D1 guy, and maybe I'm not a D1 guy now. You still persevere, you'll get there. It just might take a little bit longer. So that's a big thing that I'm kind of really dealing with here this past year, and going to have to deal with here for, obviously, next couple years, because this whole landscape and mindset is going to have to change.
Hmm. Yeah, I know it's crazy. There's going to be a lot going on for sure. On all levels, like everyone's being impacted by this.
Yeah.
What would be your key pieces of advice as we start to wrap up? Like, what would be your final piece of advice for athletes, just in general, trying to compete and really again play at those highest levels?
Yeah, again, I think it's finding a great athletic strength and conditioning trainer that fits for you to make you the best athlete. Nutrition, the whole mind piece. Obviously, we've got to work on our skill sets to get ourselves better. It's a big sacrifice. And again, it's really looking deep into yourself. What are your true goals? You know, do you want to be a big leaguer? Do you want to play high school baseball? What is the true goal? And it's got to match up with the work ethic
Yes.
and really what you put into it.
Yeah.
So, and that's what we see. And some guys figure that out a little earlier, and some figure it out later, and some don't. And that's all okay.
Mm.
But it's got to come within.
Yeah. No, that's really good. I just love I mean, again, a lot of what you're emphasizing is, the inner work in ourselves, the work ethic, the love of the game, just really finding what your goals are and make sure that the work you put in matches that. Yeah.
Absolutely. And what I love about athletics, not just baseball, but I think it creates motivated and competitive people. And when the game is over, and the game was over for me, I wanted to become the best. I became a high school baseball coach. Well, I wanted to become the best high school baseball coach I could be. Um, we open up a new level. Well, I want new level to be the best
Mhm.
baseball, training program. I told guys, hey, you want to become an electrician? Well, become the best electrician in the Northwest. So I think I want them to look outside of baseball or basketball or whatever. I want them to kind of look within themselves to be the best that they possibly can be.
I love that. Yeah. I mean, that is signs of a good coach, or a great coach, I should say. Is just again that approach of what you want to see in your players, and I really appreciate that. Like again, you've put in so much work, and I feel like a lot of what you have gained and what you are sharing and what you have shared is are things that future coaches need to know, and the athletes really need to like hold on to and really like take in for themselves.
I think we're all just ever evolving and learning every day.
For
And
sure.
that's all we can do and continue to try to get better. There's a lot of things I need to get better as becoming a coach. Or I'm in my last year of teaching. I still need to become a better teacher. So you're always growing and getting better and you should, and I think my players will always say, "Well, coach, you're never satisfied." Well, yeah, I always still want a little bit more. And
Yeah.
so, I think and I still want a lot more in life. There's a lot more out there. And so I think it's always just, you can never be comfortable
Mhm.
with that.
Yes, yes, that's so good. I think that's a really good last piece to close on there. But Mark, thank you so much for taking the time today and for sharing your insights with the athletes, the parents, the coaches, everybody that's listening in.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Had fun.
Yes,
And thank you.
yes,
And thank you for doing this. I think this is great stuff for our athletes and parents and coaches and everybody to hear. So great stuff, Nick. I really appreciate you having me.
yeah. Thank you so much. And for listeners, again, really look inward, look inside. Really tune into what Mark was talking about earlier, and really just do what you can to live to your potential, whatever that looks like. And until next time, listeners, keep striving for greatness.